Welcome to the updated Retroblasting studio tour. I'm starting here because this is auxiliary storage. Every time over the last 3 years since the original tour video, we've gotten donations or new acquisitions for videos. We have to find a home for them. And this is a constant work in progress, this room, as we try to maximize our display space while also finding ways to mitigate the encroaching material mountain that is pop culture. So this is a work in progress room, but right now it's more organized than it's ever been, shockingly enough. But let's move over to a more pleasant place. Let's move over to the editing room, or the editing nook as I like to call it. I actually refer to this area as Kylie Corner because it has my poster from when I was a kid in England. That's the poster that hung in my bedroom when I lived in England, and a number of my favorite albums. And of course, a major new addition to the studio is this piece of artwork right here from Michelle Amadezi. I believe I'm the only person besides the artist that owns a print of this, which is Kylie Minogue as a Jedi from Star Wars. And this painting is awesome. These are my two editing computers. Now, the computer on the left was the legacy Retroblasting editing workstation for the last 5 years. And then the one on the right, the new PC, is what Tim and I and Aaron built, I think last year or 18 months ago, something like that. And then up here, there used to be lunch boxes. But, you know, when you have a collection, you sometimes you start to realize that you become blind to certain things that were up there. And so my vintage lunch boxes were getting very dusty, and I was just not seeing them every day when I would come in. So I decided to change it up a little bit. And so for now, this is truly going to be Kylie Minogue Corner. I got to bring out my Kylie albums and put them up there so we can just kind of change up our space when we have a collection. You know, it's important to do that because it keeps your collection fresh in your mind, and it just allows you to, you know, enjoy everything that you enjoy. All right, so this is the recording room here. Sorry if the white balance goes a little crazy. This is where I do the bulk of my videos. Right now I'm working on Masters of the Universe Origins. So there's a lot coming up at Retroblasting HQ. That white box there is going to be another video as well. That white box just came in today, so that'll be a little surprise. All right, backing out of here. This is another auxiliary storage area, as you can see. Not much to say on that score. This is where we rack and put all of our electronic equipment for editing, live streams, when we go and do presentations, back when people were allowed to do those kind of things. So that's where we keep all of that stuff. All right, you've seen this hallway before. This is the sort of the beginning of the prop and autographs area that goes up the stairs. Since the last tour video, I have added Luke's Empire Strikes Back blaster, the limited EFX Empire Strikes Back version of his helmet, replicas of his snowspeeder gloves, the Galaxy's Edge replica of his food tray from Dagobah, and then back here we have his illuminator that Yoda steals from him, which was also from Galaxy's Edge, and I did a review on that last year or the year before. So these are my autographs here, if you've seen them before. These are authentic autographs from Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, the late and beloved Carrie Fisher. These are my autographs for, sorry for the glare, these are my autographs for Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, Nimoy, Shatner, DeForest Kelley, and Montalban. All of these images are from The Wrath of Khan because I am OCD in that regard. All right, now before we go into the main room, just thought I'd quickly show you some changes that have happened to this space right here. This is the stairwell. Since the last time, I've added some autographs from The Living Daylights. I have Timothy Dalton's autograph, and I have Mariam Dabo's, both from a very reputable, long-time Bond-only autograph dealer out of Germany. And then over here we have the Back to the Future cast. That is Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox. And then we have all the other characters from Back to the Future. I was able to secure a number of these through official picks, which was really exciting. Now, the Buck Rogers autographs were here the last time. Buck Rogers is one of my big pop culture loves, and I've met Aaron Gray a number of times. I had this framed right around the time I had the Wrath of Khan images framed, before I ever had a YouTube channel. Now, this is a new one that that crystal from Superman the movie was graciously donated to us by our friend Keith, and I leave it there with my Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder autograph framing, which I picked that up about 2 years ago as well, I think. Now here, the Superman the movie poster used to hang, but I've since changed that because I have Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder's autographs now. So this has now become an original theatrical poster for Captain America: The First Avenger. And the Firefly print that used to be where the Timothy Dalton signing is now hanging right here. And then this right here, this Rocketeer poster, it is not the movie version of the poster. It is actually one of the store-bought versions because it doesn't have the credits on the bottom and it's a smaller size. But this poster actually hung next to the Kylie Minogue poster in my room in England. So I've had this poster for a really long time. All right, let's go down into the main room. Starting here on this shelf, we have at the top Ghostbusters Firehouse. We have the somewhat newly acquired rare Filmation Ghostbusters Ghost Command Center, and the Ghost Buggy has moved up into the garage there for display. We have the GoBots with both bases this time, both the GoBot Command Center and Thruster, and thanks to some very surprising donations, we have the Guardian Power Armor now, we have the Monstrous, and we have the Pretender. And then we have Fort Kyrium, which is somewhat folded up and stacked into itself. All the pieces are there, it's just hard to see. And since the last time you saw this collection, we have acquired Handlebar, we've acquired that dude with the red face and tentacles or whatever, whose name I can never remember. And then we also now have Fuzz and Scuzz, whose vehicles are actually up on top of Fort Kyrium. And we have the Crystar Ice Castle from Remco with a number of figures in it. Crystar also occupies one of the shelves here in the studio, but we'll get to that in a second. Now down here we have the famous Kenner Superpowers line. This shelf really hasn't changed since the last time you saw it. There's not really a lot you can do to make a Kenner Superpowers display better than the figures themselves are, because the figures are so gorgeous. There's just no way to improve on that. I did put Brave and the Bold Batman and Aquaman up here in the corner, but that's because I actually removed some Batman items from another shelf, but we'll get to that in a second. Here are the Filmation Ghostbusters action figures from Shopper. Here are the Remco mini monsters with their playset. Here are the real Ghostbusters. These are my, not including Lewis, so if we sort of block him out there, these are my childhood original real Ghostbusters with my childhood original green ghost Slimer. I did not have the Stay Puft figure growing up, nor any of the creatures, and I did not have Lewis, who I've added since. All right, so down here we have the Sectars, and the Beetle has been added since the last time you were here. Secret Wars has moved down into the case, and unfortunately, due to space limitations, I had to take the Doom Cycle, which was a childhood survivor of mine, and I'm bummed that I couldn't fit it in here, but the Doom Cycle is now in storage, and the Turbo Cycle is still with it. Here are the villains from Thundercats. We have since added Rotaro into the pantheon of villains thanks to a generous donation from Lio Convoy. If you haven't checked out Lio Convoy's YouTube channel and you like vintage animation, you really should check it out. And I've moved Dick Tracy, the Playmates Dick Tracy line, onto this shelf. This used to be the shelf where I had the Tim Burton Batman toys, you know, the Batman and Batman Returns toys with the Batmobiles and, you know, the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman and things like that. But I have rotated them out of the display room for now because, like I said at the beginning of the video, there just isn't enough room all the time. And so you have to mix things up a little bit. Now this right here, this is sort of the fun catch-all area of the display. It's the one area where everything is kind of a smorgasbord of pop culture stuff. So we have a James Bond DB5 Aston Martin donated by Jody. We have my childhood Smurfs. We have the Mego Pocket Heroes. We have some Shadow. We have Mego 8-inch figures generously donated by Analog Toys. Those are the two childhood Inhumanoids of my brothers at the back. We have Amigo Cornelius from Planet of the Apes, donated by Russ. I have the entire cast of Bucky O'Hare and my childhood original Wave Hardy's California Raisins. And then also from Jody, we have some of the die casts from the Thunderbirds, the Matchbox line in the 90s. All right, now going down here, we have the Wheeled Warriors with their base. We have Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Here are the Karate Kid figures with a very kindly donated referee from the Competition Center, which I do not yet have. And at the very back, you can see sneaking in there a Remco Secret of the Ninja. Here are Robocop and the Ultra Police toys. This is the extent of my collection at the moment. I will get more before I do the video. We have the Kenner Talking Knight Rider 2000 with the David Hasselhoff action figure and a kindly donated replica of his watch from the show. We have the Gremlins, the 3-pack, the evolution from Gizmo to Spike. And then we have the A-Team. Now this is the 3 3/4 inch A-Team van, but I have since added the action figures of the bad guys from the larger 6-inch line. I was able to get those from Reclaimers Vintage Toys. Matt Swafford on Instagram. Good guy. You should check him out. And then here are my A-Team figures that have been in the display case since the beginning of the display. All right, going down here, I'm going to try and keep the camera shake to a minimum, but I am officially on my knees at this point. We have the Rambo Force of Freedom line, now with a very kindly donated Rambo Survival Light. And we have Chuck Norris's Karate Commandos, the complete collection. Well, I say that minus the recolored Super Ninja. Again, space limitations and also his overall aesthetic condition. I just kind of kept him out of the display. I have him, but he's not in the case. And then we have the sort of late 70s, 80s sci-fi shelf, which begins with Galoob's Star Trek The Next Generation toy line. And then right next to them are the Mego Star Trek motion picture action figures, along with the South Bend Enterprise. We have the Ertl Star Trek 3 action figures, and an Ertl Star Trek 3 die-cast Enterprise now. There's the Christopher Lloyd Krug action figure with his Klingon dog, whatever you want to call it. We have some Mattel Battlestar Galactica Cylons, as well as Starbuck and Adama. Now sneaking back here, you can start to see a black hole figure. So here is the Buck Rogers area, which has kind of been co-opted by some black hole figures as well. So we have the complete Buck Rogers Mego collection here, but at the very front we've also fit in a few more black hole figures that were kindly donated by a longtime viewer of the channel. All right, so right here we have Bionic Six from LJN. This is their complete base. All of these figures are complete and in really good condition. And then we have their mule van along with all of the villains and the 2 additional vehicles. I do have one of the light thrones, but I don't have the other. And the light thrones are kind of clunky and they just don't really fit well with the overall display. So the one light throne I have is a very kind donation, and it's in the storage room. All right, here we have the beginnings of Defenders of the Earth, but we also have the Tomi Tron line. So we have Sark and Tron, and we have a number of the remakes that came out back in 2002 to sort of fill out the line. So I like to pretend that one of those guys down there is Ram, and one of them is Flynn. And then we have, as I said, the Defenders of the Earth. We have the main cast of Centurions. I do have some of the power armor, very, very little, but I'm not as into the accessories for Defenders of the Earth, or I'm sorry, for Centurions. And I'll talk about that when I do the video. I found them to be a very repetitive gimmick. I really do like the base figures, though. I think they're really, really cool, so I wanted all of them. The only one from my childhood is Ace McCloud, but I collected the rest of them several years back. And then right here we have sort of the main cast of Visionaries, at least the main cast that was actually released. And then back there we have Flash Gordon and the Phantom from Defenders of the Earth. I do have a loose Flash Gordon, and I have a loose Ming and Garax. I'm trying to get loose versions of the other characters as well. All right, so let's go with Star Wars for a moment. So here are the beginnings of my extensive Star Wars vintage collection, the vast majority of it being loose. Peeking back there through the Star Destroyer, you can see the Gentle Giant bounty hunters. Hi guys. And then right here, this was that's one of my childhood R2-D2s. That is a small head Han Solo. Right there are the, this right here is the Chris Smith Stormtrooper Han Solo, sort of looking toward camera, and then a Stormtrooper Luke Skywalker with him trying to convince the Star Destroyer commander or Death Squad commander that they are legit Stormtroopers. You can see the Tarkin from the board game up there now with Darth Vader. My childhood bounty hunters in the Star Destroyer. Here's my AT-AT with the board game Snowspeeder Luke Skywalker that came out recently hanging underneath. This is a Replicator Box's Bespin Luke Skywalker doll box that was originally sent to me by Fan Strike Back, and it had a 90s Luke Bespin doll in it, but I couldn't help myself, and so I switched it out with a vintage one because I just love the vintage dolls. I love Bespin Luke, and I think it looks really sharp. And then there's the Gentle Giant Jumbo Bespin Luke. Here is an all-original complete droid factory that I've had for a really long time. Back there is, Back there is a Kenner laser pistol that I restored recently. I've had it since the 90s. I found it in a garage sale. Here's the Land of the Jawas. Now this is a new acquisition. This was a surprise donation from a Retroblasting viewer, a complete Sonic Land Speeder. I was blown away. It needs some TLC as far as its electronics, but it has every component, including the remote control. And then there's my Sears Land Speeder, or I always get that confused if it's JCPenney or Sears, but the exclusive electronic sandcrawler. I even said Land Speeder. It's hot in here. All right, down here is the original cardboard Cantina adventure set with my childhood land speeder and a dewback I've had since the 90s. Inside there, you're going to see a number of custom figures that were graciously sent to me. The blue Snaggletooth is authentic, and it was sold to me by Seth Hastings at Plastic Galaxy. Great guy. If you're looking for Star Wars stuff, you really should check out his Facebook page. Plastic Galaxy, Seth Hastings, you can't go wrong. Here are, now at the back, those two Stormtrooper Lukes are authentic. There's the remote control for the Sonic Land Speeder. These are Vader Trader Sand Troopers. And then the Stormtroopers are all real. So the Stormtroopers are authentic. Sand Troopers are custom figures. When I say custom, I mean they were made from the ground up. They were not modified. This right here is a donation that was a vintage Stormtrooper that was modified to be a Sand Trooper, and that looks really sharp as well. They did a bang-up job on that. Now inside the Creature Cantina, we now have, thanks to a wonderful donation, we have B. Arthur. We have an Ackmena action figure now, which is a lot of fun. And then originally, we only had the Imperial Cruiser in the collection, but through another surprise donation, we now have the original Imperial Troop Transport in beautiful shape. Very, very humbling surprise. They said they saw it in the background of our live streams that we didn't have it, and they sent it to us. And apparently it's a childhood survivor. So I'm just blown away by the generosity of this community at times. The unsolicited generosity is just humbling. All right, down here we have my vintage TIE Fighter. Did not have this in childhood. Didn't have any of the white plastic ships in childhood, except for arguably the Millennium Falcon, which is more of a gray. Here are some Stan Solo and Vader Trader customs, along with some Think Outside the Toy Box customs. Blue Leader back there from Rogue One with his droid, and then the beautiful Yavin Ceremony Stan Solo C-3PO. And this is the Stan Solo, I think that's K-3PO. I always get those wrong. Now this one took me forever to find. I've had it since the studio started, but on the back of all the Return of the Jedi card backs, they showed Luke Skywalker with this sort of maple-colored hair. It was like a medium brown, and all the ones that I found as a kid were yellow. So when I tracked one of these down as an adult, it was a big deal. And so that's why he's front and center with Han and Leia. This is one of my childhood X-Wing Luke Skywalkers, and he's standing next to the original X-Wing. This is not one from when I was a kid, but I've had it since the 90s. A Droid Factory R2-D2 with 3PO and Chewbacca, and then my childhood Darth Vader TIE Fighter with Darth Vader and his Imperial Commander. Down here we have and sorry for the noise, that is one of the transformers that's powering the lights. So down here we have the Rebel Command Center, and we have two Stan Solo customs to help populate out this scene. And then back there's a Think Outside the Toy Box custom, I believe. More Stan Solo customs populating Echo Base. Now these two customs of the Snowspeeder Luke Skywalker recently turned into Dak and Wedge were kindly given to the channel by 2 Cents Toys. I talk about 2 Cents Toys a lot because that's where I go to get all of my modern toy reviews. He reviews all the modern figures, and he's a great authority on both that and toy customization. So check him out if you get a chance. Vintage Snowspeeder. Back there is a vintage laser pistol still in the box from Empire Strikes Back. These are both versions of the Tauntaun, split belly and solid. That Han Solo right there in Hoth gear is my childhood original. My childhood Scout Walker, proud to say. Two mini rigs from the Empire Strikes Back. Now down here we have the Probot and Turret set. Back there is a Empire Strikes Back Imperial blaster toy, laser rifle that I've had since the 90s, found it at a comic shop. And yes, it works. Here is the Imperial attack base given back rightfully to the Rebels. This is my childhood Hoth Luke Skywalker, my very first Luke Skywalker ever. And through there is the molded legs Han Solo, which I inadvertently bought off of a kid in England, not knowing at the time in the early 90s that that was even a variant. I noticed the difference, but it wasn't until I got back to the United States and then much later on with the advent of the internet, found out that it was a thing. I thought maybe it was just a UK thing, difference in manufacturing, but nope, it's just a variant that you can find every now and then. At the time that I found out it was a variant, apparently they were just starting to collect examples of it, and it was quite rare. And the guy on Rebel Scum said I was like, I think it was like the third or fifth person to send in a photo of one. Here is the Hoth Ice Planet playset. All right, we're going back up. All right, here we go. Here is the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves Sherwood Forest playset with all of the major figures from the Robin Hood line. Here's the Kenner Imperial Shuttle with my childhood Emperor's Royal Guards and a beautiful Stan Solo Imperial astromech droid. That is also my childhood Emperor right there. Underneath, we have the just staggeringly beautiful Palatoy Death Star donated to us by William Kilford, who we restored his vintage R2-D2 for. We did not restore it for this playset. He surprised us with the playset and sent the R2-D2 with it, asking if we could help, and took a long time, but I was very happy with the result. These are all childhood original figures populating this playset. I thought that would be the most appropriate. Here's my childhood R2-D2, my childhood Obi-Wan Kenobi, and so forth. This is my childhood Millennium Falcon, which I restored for the channel a few years ago. And these are all childhood original toys, including this Chewbacca, which is my very first Star Wars action figure. And you know it by the little markings on his satchel. That's my mom putting nail polish markings on there so another kid couldn't get it mixed up. All right, down here we have Boulder Hill from Mask. I have switched out some of the vehicles. Now you have the Bullet there by the gas pumps, my childhood Raven, my childhood Firefly, and the Hurricane. Here are the Silverhawks, both the villains and the heroes, along with the Mirage spaceship. I know there are other vehicles and big birds in this line, and I'm just not that interested in getting those. Eventually I will get some more of the heroes, but as far as the vehicles go, I'm pretty much done. Now down here is a new addition. This used to be where the Rambo Savage Strike headquarters was, but I have since acquired an actual Thundercats cat's lair. And I have acquired a number of the original second wave figures, such as Pumira and Linkso and Bengali, and of course Jaga. So I decided to put that there because it's more visually arresting than the Savage Strike headquarters was. Here is the Black Star Ice Castle. That zip tie does not indicate any break. As a matter of fact, the opposite. It's just slightly too tall to put the spire on, so I made a compromise and loosely positioned it there with a zip tie. But the zip tie is not actually putting any pressure on this fragile castle itself. It's just there to kind of keep it, in place. All right, up here we have the Ewok Battle Wagon, along with the Return of the Jedi mini rig. And we have two Rebel Commandos, one of which is my childhood original. We have another Scout Walker. We have my childhood original speeder bikes. One of those speeder bike guys, biker scouts, is actually childhood original. Han and Leia, childhood original. This is my childhood original Ewok Village. You can see the glider up there, and just over there by the Scout Walker is the catapult. Back there hiding is a Return of the Jedi branded Kenner laser pistol. And here is the gentle giant jumbo Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. A lot of those Ewoks up there are also vintage childhood original Ewoks. And back there is a childhood original C-3PO hanging out on the throne, although it looks like he's fallen over a bit. All right, down here we have the Kenner. We have the Kenner hand puppet for Yoda. We have the Dagobah playset. There is my childhood original Yoda right there, the darker variant from the Jedi era. Those are all of his original accessories, by the way. There's the original Yoda standing on top, the early version. And then there's another early version on Luke's back over there. And just so you're aware, some people be asking this question. Every single actual vintage figure in this in the Star Wars area that is holding weapons, they are holding actual vintage weapons. There are no reproduction weapons being held by any of the vintage figures. Now, if you see figures in here that aren't vintage, like they're customs or they're characters that are, created from the ground up, they're probably holding their own custom-made accessories. But as far as the vintage figures are concerned, the vintage figures are all holding authentic Kenner weapons. So back there we have one of two recreations by supporters of the channel of Hambone McGillicuddy, who was just an offhanded improv joke during my Q&A video. And so I made a joke about it, photoshopped an image, and two people have kindly sent in actual Hambone McGillicuddys, which is awesome. This right here, I don't know if you can see this, but these two guys are customs. One is a custom of me as Luke Skywalker from The Empire Strikes Back, and then the other is another excellent Hambone McGillicuddy, which I just find hilarious. All right, so we have the Cloud Car. One of those Cloud Car pilots is my childhood original. We have the Cloud City playset, if you can call it that, from Kenner. They're the Bounty Hunters. Here are two variants of Luke Skywalker that I've had, the yellow hair and then a sort of more reddish brown haired Luke that I got in Melbourne, Australia when I was there last year. There's Slave 1. There's the Cap 2 hiding out back there. All right, down here we have the Power of the Force Tatooine skiff, along with an authentic yak face, all of the denizens of Jabba's palace. We have a mini rig hiding back there. This right here is a Stan Solo R2-D2. It is not an original, but it is so amazingly close, and it came with this also completely custom-made drink stand that I thought, I'm putting this in the case. Right here in the case, this is one of those original snap capes, and I just haven't married it up with a figure yet. I just wanted it on display as a variant. Here's my childhood Jabba, along with my childhood Jabba. Come on, focus. Focus. There you go. Along with Bib Fortuna. This right here is the rarer, hard-to-find painted hair Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, along with my childhood Bausch Leia and childhood Carbonite Han. His Carbonite is right here. And this is an authentic pop-up lightsaber R2-D2. He's the one I opened at the end of the last 17 video. When I say opened, meaning from the shipping box. I didn't rip him off a card. Everybody cool your jets. All right, back there is another painted hair Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, this one with a blue lightsaber. Here's my childhood Max Rebo band. And then back here from my friend Keith is a custom, let's see if I can get a better angle on this, custom Michael French action figure, which I thought was really funny, so I just put it in the Star Wars case. All right, down here we have an authentic vintage Y-Wing fighter with the Y-Wing and B-Wing pilot. I'm sure some of you have just heard me call the A-Wing the Y-Wing in this moment, and you're ready to pounce and play geek gotcha. But keep something in mind. I'm currently holding the camera and trying to keep it in focus. And if that's not enough, I'm in a studio of hundreds and hundreds of items. And I'm trying to remember not only what they are, what franchise they're from, but also how I got them, who I got them from, if they're from my childhood, and any other interesting anecdotes that come to my mind. And I'm trying to do all of it in one continuous shot. So give me a break. The B-Wing pilot and the B-Wing are my childhood originals. We have 2 more biker scouts, Anakin, Imperial Gunner, Lando. We have the Endor trio, the Luke Skywalker, and the Leia, both are childhood originals. Now I did put a green lightsaber in his hand, but it is an original green lightsaber that is not a repro. I just cannot stand the fact that he didn't come with a lightsaber. It's one of the stupidest decisions next to him not having a removable helmet. Now back here, you can see the Biker Scout pistol back there from Kenner. But we also have a variant right there of the Rebel Commando. The one between Maydeen and the other guy actually has a painted helmet rather than a painted face, which is pretty cool. Here's my childhood Y-Wing with my childhood R5-D4 in the droid socket. All right, now down here, the TIE Interceptor, which I did not have in childhood. There's my childhood X-Wing, the battle damage variant, complete and still in good shape. My childhood X-Wing pilot Luke, and he's next to the more obscure Palitoy X-Wing from the UK, which I reviewed recently, but he's standing guard on that one. And then possibly, arguably, my favorite TIE fighter of the whole vintage Kenner era, the blue battle damage TIE fighter, which I did not have in childhood either. And I also like this X-Wing. I have an example of this without battle damage stickers on, and I have an example of this one without battle damage stickers on, just to have all the different varieties. All right, down here, let me just set my arm properly. My hand is shaking. Down here we have the Kenner Micro Collection for Star Wars. Now back here, that is a Stan Solo custom Droids 3PO that he was kind enough to surprise me with. Back there is an authentic King Gornish. I did a write-up on this in my, let's see if I can get around there so you can see it. Yeah, I did a write-up about this figure on the Facebook page. This figure was given to me by a very close family friend, a lady that took care of me when I was little. And I reunited him with his staff and his packaging over the years. All right, that's a Stan Solo Han Stormtrooper. Here is the 12-inch collection. Now, for those of you wondering where's Chewie's bandolier, it's actually down at his feet. It's down there, it's hard to see, because if you have it on his body too long, it can actually melt the plastic of the Chewbacca figure itself. There's R2-D2. There's Broken Vader's arms right there. There's Leia and Luke and Boba Fett. And that is not Broken Vader there. That is actually a complete 12-inch Darth Vader, or 15-inch in his case. I'd appreciate you not telling Broken Vader that he's there. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here's my my Rebel transport. And these right here are the main monsters from Inhumanoids. These are not mine. These were loaned to the channel by Matt Swafford at Reclaimers Vintage Toys. And I'm working with them right now for the Inhumanoids Part 2 video that's going to be coming here very soon. So watch for that. All right, I guess we'll start at the bottom here since I'm already on the floor. Here is the Voltron shelf. This has not changed since the original tour video. It has the original Popey Go Lion in the box right there from Japan from 1981. My childhood Panache Place Voltron, complete with all the pilots still in the cockpits. I never lost a helmet. There's an original Matchbox diecast. There's another Popey Go Lion, the miniature one, in the box. Next up, we have Starcom. This is a collection I put together from scratch because I did not own any Starcom as a kid. These custom drones were kindly donated to the channel by Jody. Okay. There is Devastator, and he was kindly donated by a friend of Melinda's. And then here are the Conehead Seeker Jets. There's Rat Bat, also donated by Jody, along with these two vintage cassettes. These Seeker Jets were cobbled together by me. The middle one, Thrust, was a childhood original, but the rest of them were sort of pulled together from parts. Back there you can see a Shockwave, as they call it. This was donated by Kyle to the channel, a good friend of mine. Here are the Insecticons and then the Dinobots. Of the Dinobots, the three that were childhood original survivors are Swoop, Snarl, and Sludge. We did not have Grimlock or the Triceratops, whose name I am deliberately not saying because in England it is not meant the same way and they changed his name, so I don't want to offend any English viewers. All right, there's Perceptor. He was donated to the channel by Melinda's friend who also gave us Devastator. Melinda went out and found the Turbo Teen model kit that transforms. She just thought it was so surreal and bizarre she had to have it. Back there is the only Star Musketeer Bismarck toy I own. I wish I owned more. There is Sapphire from Rock Lords, the female Rock Lord. She was donated to the channel by Jody. There is my childhood Daitarn that I completed in a very early Retroblasting video. All right, here's the Transformers shelf. I'm very much devoted to the ARC crew. I'm not really interested in a lot of Transformers beyond that. You can hate me or love me for that. I can't do anything about it. There's my packaged Megatron. My childhood original Autobots are all mixed in there. My Optimus, my Jetfire, and then a number of characters that I've picked up since. But those are the original 1984 ARC crew. You will not see Trax in there. You will not see, Red Alert. You won't see any of those guys. All right, here is the Masters of the Universe shelf. Along with my recently completed Ninjor, who I did a video about on Patreon for anyone who's interested. A Patreon exclusive video about Ninjor. Yes, Skeletor sings. Here at the top we have the childhood Snake Mountain of my brothers. This is a donated Battle Cat, the last surviving toy of a Retroblasting supporter, so he stands guard between Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain in the studio. That's my brother's childhood Point Dread, my brother's childhood Zoar, and my brother's childhood Castle Grayskull, and his childhood Sorceress. And I picked up King Randor a few years ago to go with it. Here are two childhood Pizza Hut Land Before Time puppets that I've had since forever, and the Castle of Lions playset for Panache Place. Now you might be shocked to see this here. I am working on a Power Rangers retrospective, and it's hard to see, but all of the flip heads are there in the playset, and then the Megazord is back there. There's more that isn't on display. And then these three, the reason that they are duplicated up here is because when you flip their heads, they are not the original cast. They are the rarer Aisha, Rocky, and I think his name's Adam or something like that, which I found on an eBay auction for a really good price. The Technodrome playset from Ninja Turtles. The blimp. The actual dirigible is back there in a Ziploc bag. You just can't see it. It's behind the sewer playset. And here is the sewer playset itself. That's my childhood original April O'Neil right there. All right, now we have the Ninja Turtles shelf itself with the original characters. That's my childhood Michelangelo. Those are all soft head Ninja Turtles. That's my childhood Usagi Yojimbo, childhood Splinter, childhood Bebop Rocksteady, childhood Van. A lot of this stuff in here is childhood. I think the only thing that isn't is the Krang body. Oh, and that Shredder. I had to have the more accurately colored Shredder. All right, here we have the She-Ra shelf with a shockingly nice donated surprise Mantisaur and a donated Horde Trooper back there, which we did not have before. These other Hordak characters, these other minions, are all childhood original. We had a She-Ra in childhood, but she disappeared, so I had to reacquire her. All right, new acquisitions for the channel have included the Tiger early 90s Inspector Gadget-mobile, the transforming Gadget-mobile, along with one of the most accurately colored variant of Inspector Gadget, and Penny and Brain and Dr. Claw, who is still in his packaging bubble. These are recent donations to the channel from Over the Top. Sylvester Stallone's character, and another guy whose name I continually can't remember. I got to refamiliarize myself with that line. I just got these from Reclaimers Vintage Toys, a near complete Mego Eagle Force run. The Starriers base with a Starriers robot. I need to get more of these, but the two that I have are complete. I will continue to focus on that collection at some point in the future. The Indiana Jones shelf includes the LJN Temple of Doom figures in the back, and then the complete Kenner collection in the front, along with some beautiful customs of Cairo Indy and Cairo Marion, donated graciously to the channel as a surprise. The complete Legend of the Lone Ranger collection, along with a very good sampling of the Gabriel Zorro collection. I'm just missing a few pieces for Zorro's collection, and then they would both be complete. That is the mail-away Dodge City in the background for the Lone Ranger toy line. Still hasn't been used. This is one of the most shocking, humbling, generous donations to the channel I never would have expected. All 5 of these Galaxy Rangers were donated to the channel recently, and they were only sold in Europe, and it continually shocks me that these are now in this space. I'm constantly speechless about that. Here are the Black Star figures from Galoob. I think I'm missing one figure. One figure. I think I'm missing one figure from this line. The Toonami Thundar Trio. Oh, and you can see the Lava Lock from Black Star back there hiding. Space does become a premium. Now this lineup has expanded since the last time you saw it because of, again, just shocking generosity and donations from people who just kind of notice what we don't have and then suddenly it shows up. You're seeing here a complete run of the figures from Clash of the Titans by Mattel now. I used to only have Perseus and Thallo and the Pegasus. And now I have Charon and Calibos, with his tail no less, which is always broken off. And I should have rearranged this before the tour, but I didn't, I forgot. In the front here are Dragon Riders of the Styx figures that I've slowly been putting together. And then at the back is the infamous Willow toy line with the rare Eborsisk dragon. That's a toy line by Tonka. And we will talk about that toy line one day, and not favorably. Here is the Crystar sub-shelf with the figures and accessories. I don't have everything from Crystar. I don't have some of the rare catapults and things like that, but I have enough that I feel confident to do a video in the future. I feel like I have all the essential stuff. Here's the AD&D section of the shelf with the Fortress of Fangs playset. Which we reviewed in a video feature a few years ago. All right, up here we have the Fortress of Steel from RoboForce with all the figures. And then right here used to be some RoboForce vehicles, but I took that down so that I could put up the SDF-1 playset from Robotech, the very rare SDF-1 bridge playset. And I put the Veritech fighter in the hangar bay. Behind it is its cardboard flooring, which is too big to actually be underneath it on top of the display case. Here's the actual Robotech shelf. There is the small Scout Invid donated by Jody. And then this beautiful Officer's Battle Pod donated by Carl. Right there. And for some reason the lights in this particular case always like to flicker. I don't know why that is. All right, we have the Star Trek shelf. This has only changed in one major respect since the last time you saw it. We now have, at the very end of the shelf, the complete collection of the cast of Voyager. Now down here, I've changed the mask shelf significantly because originally this was a sort of, pretty solid group of vehicles, but the vehicles like the Thunderhawk and the Condor were over on Boulder Hill. But since I received this custom-made Shark, which to me just sets off the entire first-run fleet of mask, I decided to make this whole shelf, including Alex Sector and Buddy Hawks. I decided to make this whole shelf the first run of mask stuff from the cartoon, including Scott and T-Bob, yes, and the Manta. And I mean that in what was on the first episodes of the show, because obviously the Manta showed up later in the toy line, but I wanted this to reflect the opening fleet from the show, the iconic fleet that we remember. Now down here we have just a staggering symbol of generosity, that unsolicited generosity. This is the Action Force shelf. And except for the Panther Jeep and the SMS missile system and Quarrel and her bike, aside from those things, every single thing on this shelf was a surprise donation. Every single thing. From George Aitken, from Carl, from Analog Toys, from very generous supporters all over the world that just found out that I like British stuff and I like international stuff. And I guess that was all they needed to hear. And suddenly everything just started flying in. And I'm humbled and I don't know what to say half the time. I feel guilty, but I had to make room for it in the display. So I'm going to be putting more of the figures up soon as I get figure stands. But this is the Action Force shelf. The permanent Action Force shelf in the studio. All right, down here we have Batman the Animated Series. This shelf looked too good to ever change, so I haven't changed it. The guy laying down back here is actually a rare mail-away variant that I'm still looking for parts for. Normally I'd have him standing up, but I just haven't gotten around to it, so sorry about that. But yeah, this is the Batman Animated Series shelf. I'd really like to get this video retrospective done this year, but if I don't do Bionic 6 first, Tim will kill me. All right, so now we're going to deal with the G.I. Joe toy room, one step at a time. So right here, above our heads, we have a Spitfire from the Battle of Britain from the 21st Century Toys collection. It is 3 3/4 inch scale, true to scale, chasing a Messerschmitt ME 109E, also from the same toy line. Tally-ho, get 'em, boys. We have the articulated ninjas that I reviewed a few years ago. And I picked these up because I wanted my own representations of Storm Shadow, Sho Kosugi, and Ryu from Ninja Gaiden, all on one stand. And these guys really fit the bill nicely. They're just awesome. And here are my Marauder figures that I did the review of a while back. These are the custom... Come on, focus on that. These are the custom Marauder figures that I made up to look like the cast of Combat. Here's one of the Airfix quick build Spitfires I reviewed under my childhood Vectrex Vector video game system. This is the television that my parents bought in 1987 that showed me Star Trek The Next Generation for the first time on its original broadcast. It showed me Red Sonja, G.I. Joe the movie, the opening DuckTales movie, so many television shows and movies for the first time I saw on this TV. It was not our original television. This was not the TV that showed me The Empire Strikes Back, for example. That thing looked like furniture. But it was the second television in our house. It was the television that I played Nintendo on in our house for the first time. So it has a lot of emotional resonance for me, this TV. Down here are the various video game systems, my childhood Nintendo, Melinda's Atari 2600. Yeah. All right, you've seen the flag before, but we might as well go over it again. There are Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes swords crossed over it. Those are metal swords from museum replicas. Down here is my brother's childhood Bigfoot and my childhood MCB-1 that I did a video about. Underneath the carrier, you will see my childhood hovercraft, my childhood APC, my childhood Storm Shadow hiding out in there, getting ready to pounce on G.I. Joe, my childhood Skyhawk, along with a very nice Sky Striker and another Skyhawk back there. These are my brother's childhood vehicles, the Cobra Wolf and whatever this thing was called as part of Destro's... I don't even remember the name of this guy's stuff. Destro's Infiltrators, Marauders, whatever it was. This is the Tomahawk, of course, with some Joes trying to simulate the Snake Eyes trilogy from the comic books. Scarlet, of course, was very much not sitting up in that scene. She was shot in the head, but for the purposes of this, it's just a salute. It's not a literal recreation. We finally have added the standard G.I. Joe Conquest to the Retroblasting fleet, which was not here when you saw the tour the last time. There's one of three I have 3 complete Sky Strikers, and I believe I have parts and pieces for 2 others. All right, there's Tim Witten's Fortress Maximus, which he's going to let me do a video on, and then I'm going to send it back to him. This is the Encore Edition Fortress Maximus that is accurate to the Japanese version. All right, so starting from the top of the case, we have the Dragonfly, we have the SMS, we have my childhood Straight Arm Joes guarding the G.I. Joe headquarters, which I bought before I did Retroblasting, but it was not a childhood original thing. We have the Mobat standing guard inside the G.I. Joe headquarters, and we have a Vamp poking its cannons through. We have a Fang that was kindly donated to the channel by Analog Toys, and I restored it recently in a video. We have all of the G.I. Joe artillery pieces from the first few years of G.I. Joe. And back, we also have a Cobra Asp that was donated to the channel, or gifted to it, I should say, by Matt Swafford at Reclaimers Vintage Toys. And then back here we have a beautiful 6-inch custom Flash that was made by Sal at 2 Cents Toys. All right, so we'll start from the top. I don't know. You know what's funny is that Torpedo always loves to turn slightly when the doors open or when people walk by. So how about I just fix him? Okay. Now, since the last time you saw the case, since the last time you were here, I have added Starduster. That is the original version of Starduster because he has a pistol on his chest rather than a grenade. And he's standing next to our childhood Steel Brigade figure. Okay. Going down, that's my childhood Cobra Claw. And my childhood Snake Armor back there. All right, let's see what we can see. That's my childhood Night Landing. And a recently acquired Mauler tank. I cannot remember. I do not think that tank was here during the original tour, but I got one in decent shape that still had the box, and then I had a few parts and pieces I had to find for it, and I went and found them. Now back here you'll see a recently completed fridge. The fridge figure was donated to the channel, and then I went and found his weapon. And then way back here, Matthew LaCroix, who I interviewed on the channel, a great figure customizer, he gifted Melinda with a custom G.I. Joe Rambo, which is really awesome. This Mission Brazil Leatherneck and mainframe were not here during the first Retroblasting Studio tour. There is Super Trooper helping guard the Snowcat. There is Matthew LaCroix's transforming Cobra Commander, a completely custom figure, meaning it's made from the ground up. Beautiful, beautiful piece. It's our childhood Cobra Stun there. Underneath it in a plastic bag are the remnants of its flags. I'd welcome repro flags on that one. There's the custom Chuck Norris figure Melinda gave me several years ago. That is our childhood Worms pilot with an authentic antenna on his head. Or I should say driver. He's not a pilot, he's a driver. He drives the maggot. Now this little guy right here, he's a G.I. Joe that's been painted to look like Luke Bespin. He was done by Sal at 2 Cents Toys, and he was given a head that's supposed to sort of resemble me. And as part of the whole blue versus yellow lightsaber thing, Sal gave him 2 katana blades, which I thought was hilarious. Here is the Cobra Hydrofoil, the Moray, with the authentic lens in the spotlight. That's my childhood Destro with his despoiler or whatever it's called. Down here on the bottom shelf we have the Adventure People Alpha Probe and my childhood Adventure People, I believe it's called the Firestar actually, but I could have that wrong. But I've had that since before I even owned a Star Wars figure. X-Ray Man and X-Ray Woman. Hello, X-Ray Man and X-Ray Woman. Here is the Python Patrol Conquest with Python Patrol Copperhead from when we were kids. I did not own the Conquest like this when we were kids, but we had that Copperhead. And then the gorgeously, blindingly beautiful custom Sky Patrol Conquest that I got at Joe Fest last year, complete with an Ace pilot inside. The Ace came from the Toys R Us camouflaged Conquest from the 90s, but he looks like he should just go right with this version of the Conquest. The fact that this never got made staggers me. I mean, they didn't even have it on the books, but the fact that they didn't even think to make this is just mind-blowing. It's my favorite G.I. Joe piece in the whole studio. Now right here we have some various lightsabers, one of the vintage Kenner ones, the Force lightsaber, along with a custom Ultra Sabers that I've sometimes costumed with, and then a toy dual color one. And then that is my brother's all-complete, all-original Childhood Hiss 2, sort of standing guard right there, because I don't have any place to put it yet. But it's tucked away behind the case where no one's going to accidentally hit it. But it is complete, even with the seat brackets. It has every single part. Now under here in the television room that we're going into, actually before I do that, let me back up. So we have this display here. This was acquired by me in the 90s as a teenager from the One Last Time video release. And I had to have it, so I asked the store manager if he'd save it for me. And he actually did, and gave it to me. Here are two Master Replicas FX lightsabers. And because I forgot to show it to you, I'll back up here. There is the Kenner Force Darth Vader lightsaber, and the Kenner Force Empire Strikes Back Luke Skywalker lightsaber from the early 80s, I think like 81 or something like that, 81, 82. This is the color that I had as a kid, but mine didn't survive childhood because when we moved to England, we threw it away, which sucks. All right, so starting here in the TV room, we have the Arcade 1-Up Star Wars arcade machine, which I've done a review of. So check that out on the channel. We have Melinda's replicas of Tom Servo and Crow T. Robot from Mystery Science Theater 3000. That extra gumball machine is the correct version of his head, and so we're going to try and swap those out at some point after it gets properly prepped, but you know, there's only so much time in the day. The Sectar's Hive playset. Now I'm working to do something with this and get it permanently displayed and off the floor, but it's going to take some time. A beautiful custom full-size Secret Wars lenticular shield donated to us by a very generous supporter of the channel, surprised us with that. I want that off the floor as well so it doesn't get kicked and bumped because it's a work of art. There's the Black Series Snow Speeder that will be featured in a video on the channel real soon, sitting atop the shelf unit for Melinda's Atari games. Over here, underneath, we have Steven's Terrordrome, which I'm going to be starting the restoration of very soon, because I've just completed the restoration on the Defiant, which you saw. The Defiant will be getting a full review soon. Here is the Night Raven that I restored for the channel several years back, and it hangs from the ceiling. The plan is that it was flying over the Terrordrome, but right now the Defiant's there, so I'm not sure how I'm going to work that. I'd really like it flying over the Terrordrome, so might change that. Here are my inert replicas of the Trap and Trap foot pedal. This is my Proton Pack, which you've seen in a number of videos. I have some upgrade parts I need to put with it, but I haven't done that yet. Here is the Flux Capacitor replica, which used to be in the DeLorean, but now it's not. And then if we move over here, let's see, back up a little bit, we've got my Empire Strikes Back framed poster. And this is all new. This is stuff you won't have seen before in the original tour. So this is my Doctor Who autograph framing of Elizabeth Sladen. You can see right there and right there. And there's John Leeson's autograph for K9. And then there's Tom Baker's autographs with John Leeson. So I loved the idea that I've got John Leeson with Liz Sladen, and then I've got John Leeson with Tom Baker. But this was a beautiful framing that was done for me by a very talented framer named Antonisha. She's on Instagram. She did all this gratis. Like she's just that creative. She went and looked all this up, and she was a Who fan too, so that helped. Here are Sarah Jane's owls. I found these, they're the actual branded owls. They're not replicas, because when she left in Hand of Fear, she had an owl under her arm. Now, I believe the owl was actually this size, but when they're doing the scenes inside the TARDIS, the owl looks a little bigger. It could be an optical illusion, so rather than leave it to chance, I just went ahead and acquired the slightly larger version of this owl as well. This owl can also be seen in the closet with E.T. when he's hiding in the stuffed animals. And then down here we have the rubber toe Fourth Doctor sonic screwdriver replica back there, the prop replica. We have a beautiful custom of Sarah Jane from Planet of Evil. This was done by my friend Benjamin, who lives in the UK. And Benjamin also helped me acquire this TARDIS. This was one of the first TARDIS boxes offered by Character Options. And this was Benjamin's childhood TARDIS, and he sold it to me when I was getting into Who. And he and I have since become very, very good friends. And he does amazing figure custom work. This Tom Baker is actually a custom from somebody else as well. But this Sarah Jane is just awesome. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful figure. And I'm so grateful that he did that for me. All right, these are the Blu-ray sets from the UK of the classic Who range. I really hope they announce another one soon, because I'd really like to get another one. Another volume, I mean. Here is a more modern setup. I tried to mirror it. So here's Sarah Jane with David Tennant and a more battered up K-9 from School Reunion. And the reason that Matt Smith and Karen Gillan are next to this is because this is the TARDIS that they came with. So I just let them stay with their TARDIS rather than pack them up. I do have David Tennant's TARDIS as well, but it got packed up in its box and I really don't want to pull it out. Here's the radio-controlled K-9 that came out in the UK several years back during Tennant's popularity. The Doctor Who Lego set, and just a lovely vintage TARDIS bank that was sent to me by my friend Gary, who also lives in the UK. Beautiful vintage piece, and I always want it displayed with my Doctor Who stuff. Now, I won't go into everything down here, but this is just one side of my physical media collection. Most of the cartoons and things like that are actually upstairs in another case. But all the movies, the high-def content, a lot of the live-action TV shows are all down here. And then hiding behind these, you can see my childhood Tiger Force, Tiger Cat, and Tiger Sting. And then the mail-away version, it's hard to see, of the Slugger is back there from G.I. Joe. And they'll be coming out during a video at some point. All right, so we have the Empire Strikes Back Dagobah version of the X-Wing fighter hanging here with R2 and Luke Skywalker in it. This is the more modern version. I have my little ode to Tomb Raider right here. I love Tomb Raider and Lara Croft, and this is the shelf for this. I actually took this action figure from the Angelina Jolie movie back when it came out, and I painted it to look like the actual game Lara. I've had it ever since. And then these are replicas of the HK pistols that were made famous by the Angelina Jolie movies and have since become sort of canonized into a lot of the video games. And Melinda wore these when she costumed as Lara at DragonCon. Here is the Legacy Millennium Falcon with the entire cast of The Empire Strikes Back inside. I will show you that is the case. There they are, navigating the asteroid field. That is my childhood stuffed Ewok down there, along with a Han Solo blaster that I've had for a really long time. It's a metal prop replica. There's the new Black Series Luke Skywalker X-Wing helmet. All right, we'll back up. This is the TV that I sit in front of when I do features. Here is the Black Series Stormtrooper Helmet, a rubber stunt replica from, oh gosh, what's the name of that company? Hyperfirm. This is the one that Melinda carried when she was Bespin Escape Leia at Dragon Con. And a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful donated Boba Fett helmet that showed up as a surprise during a live stream. Above that, of course, are the Legacy Series AT-AT and Snow Speeders from the modern range, sort of the super giant ones. And then we have a giant wing TIE Fighter. Now, some people have since said, oh, the TIE Fighter's gotten more accurate since then, but I love that blue color. I don't care if people think it's really gray. So I wanted the big wing blue TIE Fighter, and so there it is hanging from the ceiling. Love it. And then down here is the larger redone Amazon exclusive Slave 1, which they've since re-released. And then my Black Series Empire Strikes Back cast with a gorgeous custom of Luke after the duel. See if I can get it to focus on that. Come on. Fine, I'll zoom in closer. There he is. That was done by Sal at 2 Cents Toys. And there's Luke fighting Vader. And then over here, I decided that I wanted to keep the 3 main characters from Rogue One from what I feel is the strongest part of the film, which is when they first go into Jeddah. And then above that, I have my real Star Wars Love post-original trilogy, which is a fully customized, beautiful Mara Jade done by a customizer that I found on eBay. And then Thrawn and Jedi Luke from this is how I visualize, you know, the Thrawn trilogy of novels. All right, now here, this is kind of like the last real section of the studio. So underneath, we have more physical media. I buy my physical discs from all over the world, depending on who's releasing what. And that's just the way it's going to be until physical discs go away. I love having a copy. I don't like streaming at all. Some of the cartoons you see are down there right now, but that's because I'm actually archiving them digitally because they're now over 10 years old. But most of the cartoons go back upstairs into their own case. And now we have the Marvel shelf. And in front and center is the Marvel Shield for Captain America. This is not the official Marvel Legends shield. This is one that was done by a very, very talented artisan off of Etsy, and he did it to the original specs of the hero prop, including the backside. So the backside has the Stark Industries 1940s emblem on it. It's got the right leather. It's got the right brackets. It's really done up beautifully, and it's just a gorgeous piece. It has all the detailing on it, including all the little etchings and everything like that. It's just amazing. And now if we start with the left side, this is going to take a long time. We have Doctor Strange. And the philosophy behind this was me trying to find the best versions of the different Marvel movie depictions of the characters. So we've got Doctor Strange, and I just acquired Domino thanks to 2 Cents Toys. Got all my Captain Americas back there. My Peggy Carter. I love Kate Blanchett as Hera. I really, as you know, I really, really loved Age of Ultron. There's the Captain America from the end of Endgame. I'm one of the people that unashamedly loves the Ant-Man and Wasp movies. I don't think they're mediocre. I think they're great. This is a Deadpool that was sent to me by a friend of mine, Adrian from Australia. I met him while I was over in Melbourne, and he is a big Deadpool fan, and he found out that I didn't have a Deadpool in my Marvel Legends collection, and so he sent me this one, and it's awesome. It's not officially the movie one, but that one didn't even come out until like 3 weeks ago, so just having this one has just been really fun. Now here are my Spider-Man and his amazing friends. And the Iceman and Spider-Man are actually from the Toy Biz 6-inch line from a long time ago, like 20 years ago. This Spider-Man is called Snapshot Spider-Man, and he looks most like the John Romita artwork. Each Spider-Man they came out with was, for that range, was reflective of a different artist's style. And I wanted this one because that's what the animation looked like in Amazing Friends. The Iceman was the best option. And I'm going to argue that even though they've just come out with a Marvel Legends Iceman, he doesn't come with this awesome ice sled thing that this guy has, which is indicative of the Amazing Friends cartoon. So I have the new Iceman, but I haven't compared them yet. And then this is a custom Firestar that I picked up last year, I think, finally. And I put her on the Dark Phoenix Toy Biz figure stand, because even though it's a bird, it still looks like fire. But I'm so thrilled to finally have a 6-inch Firestar, Iceman, and Spider-Man grouping. I know they've just announced a new Firestar. I will be getting her to compare this with. But it'll be interesting to compare the Firestar, Spider-Man, and Iceman to the three I have here and see which ones actually work the best. And then I just completed my Pride of the X-Men set. Thanks to Storm finally coming out. Hasbro did not make her easy to find at all, but at least they brought her out, period. So I was able to get her, and now I have my Ultimate X-Men set, the arcade game Pride of the X-Men set. These are the X-Men I love the best, because these are the X-Men that I could put a quarter into a machine and punch and kick things with. That might sound simple-minded, but I don't care. They're my favorites. I love this combo, and I love that Dazzler, and I love Nightcrawler. So yeah. So this is the Marvel side of things right here. And then my Return of the Jedi poster that I've had hanging on a wall ever since I lived in England. I got this exact poster, this one that's in this frame here. I bought it unframed at the Museum of Moving Image in London, and right outside Waterloo Station. And it hung on my wall with blue tack for a long time, and then my parents got it framed. I think if you look at the edges somewhere, you can still see like Scotch tape holding part of it together, but I don't quite see it here at the moment. But yeah, so this is the studio, completely redone, updated for 2020. Once again, the white balance is acting real weird. Let's see if I can fix it. Not really. Those lights are very, very bright. But yeah, so this is the Retroblasting studio. And hope you guys have enjoyed this tour. See what happens when I turn these lights off. Oh, that's nice. Hope you guys have enjoyed this tour of the studio. It's a work in progress all the time. It is something that has to be managed, just like a museum or something like that. But it's a lot of fun. And we are just so grateful that you guys, after 8.5, almost 9 years, are still watching Retroblasting, and that the channel continues to grow. So I'm going to go get back to work on Inhumanoids Part 2 and the He-Man Origins collection, and another video, like I said, in that little white box that just showed up. So thanks for watching this, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.